Hello, and welcome to the MSP Global Studios. And thank you to all of you that are attending here on Zoom today. It wouldn't be a Northern Power Women event if we didn't ask you to join in the conversation. So please, I can see many of you have already joined in the chat. So welcome, Lancashire, Manchester, Leeds. There's even people from the south, but don't tell Andy and Julie. But please do keep the conversation and do join us on our social media channels using hashtag NPWReport, and we are NPW. Over the past 6 months, we have mobilised, engaged, assisted and supported our Northern Power Women community to navigate this awful COVID-19. Without doubt, women, Black, Asian, minority, ethnic businesses and our young people have been most disadvantaged. But this is not going to get us down. We have adapted, we've disrupted, and we want to write the new rule book for the new way that we work. My name's Simone Roche, and I'm the founder of Northern Power Women, which I created 5 years ago. It's now grown into a massive community of 60,000 trailblazers, role models, disruptors, all over the globe now. And I didn't set Northern Power Women up to face this pandemic. None of us did. However, what I believe that we have shown with our true Northern grit in this community is awe-inspiring individuals that are strong enough to do so. In the face of this adversity, we've created positive change in challenging times, but we want to do more. So we created a series of power circles across the north: Tees Valley, Liverpool, Manchester, Lancashire, Cumbria, Yorkshire and Newcastle, with over 150 cross-sector senior women and influencers that we got together to check in, to offer support and discuss the issues that are being faced, as well as importantly discussing those positive news stories out there that we were creating ourselves. From a great young entrepreneur in the Tees Valley area, recycling wind turbines, creating new podcasts. We've been pivoting for fun, and I hate that word. We've held 4 rounds of these power circles and a race equality and ally session too. But we don't want all of these stories and these experiences and knowledge to be lost. So we've created our very first leveling up and our Powering On report, because we want to document and gain momentum in creating this positive change. Thank you to every single one of them for their support, and in particular Alex Cousins, who travelled to every circle with me without the need to get on any train. So that meant we didn't have to stand for large perceptions of these meetings and stuff. But she convinced me to document this because it's important that these voices were heard. And that's why we wanted to create it, to show the amazing things that women of the North have done during the height of this pandemic. We've taken the opportunities, we've faced the challenges brought by COVID, but we know we can do so much more to support and to recover the economy because we're in challenging times. The report contains many of these stories, and we know there's so many more. It contains some great quotations out there. Our very first one held in Liverpool. Andrea Edwards turned around and said, you know what, we need to stop giving ourselves a hard time. We are creating history here. There has been no path set on this before, so we need to make our own way. We've got a series of menu cards in here, laying out what our new rules are, and the report contains 3 asks. We want you to invite us to give us a seat at the table. In fact, more than 1 seat. On your policy-making boards, on your corporate and advisory boards. We want you to invest in us, female-led businesses, Black, Asian, minority, ethnic businesses, to innovate. And we want you to invest in new ways of working, plus give us accessible childcare. All of this will boost the economy and help us invest in our future talent. We need to create opportunities for our next generation and also for those COVID-19 displaced talent. But we cannot do this alone. We need you to help us to build forward better. That also came out of these circles. We don't want to go back, we want to build forward. We want to collaborate with our community. We want to collaborate to create a more inclusive society. And we're on our way to creating these new rules, and we want you to join us. And I'm delighted to welcome Andy Burnham, who from the very first time I met Andy always says, I will enthusiastically support everything that you do, Simone. So I have bought my full-on Everton blue for you today, Andy. Welcome, thank you for joining the launch.
You're welcome, Simone. It's great to be with you, and well done to you, your team, everyone who's been a part of this. It's absolutely fantastic piece of work and just what we need right now.
So how can you help us deliver these asks? You're not somebody who is a shy and retiring individual over there in GM, and you're not afraid to shout up. So how can we deliver this? How can we make sure our young, our women, our Black, Asian, minority ethnic groups are not disadvantaged? I know you're doing great work already in GM.
But that's what I'd say, Simone, by doing it. Because obviously the best way to influence other people and influence other mayors or the government is to say that, well, this is what we're doing. You know, we don't need to lobby for it to be done. We're just doing it. So you say invite us to the table. I've been really clear that more voices need to be heard properly in Greater Manchester Devolution. So right now we're setting up a women and girls equality panel. We are setting up a race equality panel in Greater Manchester. We're about to set up a faith panel. We just recognise that devolution needs to sort of hear all voices, and it isn't at the moment. Also agree with you about invest in us. It's about community wealth building, isn't it? It's about making sure we build up our own organisations and support them. And we're doing that as well. And on your point about invest in our future talent, Diane Madal, who is certainly, Simone, in your category, is a proper Northern Power woman. Diane is currently leading for us a young person's task force. And we're looking to develop a young person's guarantee. And we are doing a lot of work at the moment to understand what does the next generation need, recognising what's happened to them through this terrible year, as you say. So the best way we can influence people, I think, is to do it and show the difference it makes and the better policies that result and the better opportunities that come to everybody, but particularly those who sadly are still held back by discrimination.
And can we continue to ask you to advocate for us, Andy? Can we get you on our Northern Power Futures podcast, which we had a young woman volunteering for us over a lockdown period. She now works for us, and she set up a podcast for us. You attended our first Northern Power Futures launch, and we go right to the young people. We'll connect with Diane, ask what the concerns are, and then we go out to industry and influence and ask them to respond to those challenges, because it's worrying right now, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I mean, I think, as you said before, it's clear that one of the effects of COVID is to accentuate the inequalities that already exist within our communities and within the country. So it is potentially going to accentuate gender inequalities, race inequalities, class inequalities, but also the north-south divide, Simone, if we're not careful, because it's obviously the north of England that is under restrictions much more than other parts of the country, and we will be levelled down here if we're not careful. And you know, we need to speak up, don't we? All voices need to be involved in kind of turning things around and getting some positive energy coming out of this and making sure the North owns the recovery. And we all are involved in building the recovery. So absolutely, I've certainly come on the podcast. I'm here to help in whatever way I can. But let me just share with a thought with you, Simone, about how we take this to the next level. I've asked my LEP under the amazing co-chair personship of Lou Cordwell. Lou is, I think, well known to you.
One of our Northern Power women, actually, Andy. One of our Northern Power women. Everyone's Northern Power women.
You're not kidding. She certainly is, and she's brilliant, actually, in terms of the changes that she's bringing in. But we're thinking about developing a business case for diversity to take out to organisations, public and private, actually, across the North, to show that the more diverse at the higher level, the more successful they will be. And I'm not just talking about more balanced men and women. I'm talking about truly diverse in every respect, because there's, I believe, a business case for that. Organisations that are the most diverse will be most in touch with their customers, and it's about the North as a whole building a business case for diversity, isn't it, and making it therefore the most attractive place for investment coming out of this crisis.
Well, thank you. If that was an invitation, Andy, we will take that invitation to come to yours and Lou's table. And equally for those young voices, those young entrepreneurs as well, that are an answer to our, sort of our boosting our economy as well. Thank you so much, Andy, for always advocating and enthusiastically supporting. And we'll be in touch about the podcast.
You're welcome, Simone. Well done on the report. We will certainly take it on board here in Greater Manchester. We'll recommend it beyond. But if we're ever going to change things, surely now is the moment to change, isn't it?
100%.
You've given us the way we can.
If not now, when, if not who, etc. Thanks, Andy. Thank you so much for your support.
Thanks, Simone.
Thank you. So we've already started on our ask, and I think, as Andy said, it's about doing it, 100% about doing it. And I'm delighted to welcome in now Dame Julie Kenny, who has been a stalwart and part of the Yorkshire Power Circle since we first started running these. When they were back in the days where we ran them live, where we had a dinner around a table and we chinked glasses. It was quite bizarre. But Dame Julie was on one of the very first power circles that we ran. In fact, Yorkshire was the first one back in May 2 years ago, and we started a conversation with Julie, and Julie right from that day has always had that crack on mentality. And so I was really honoured and privileged when I asked Julie would she write the foreword for the report, of which she gracefully accepted. So welcome, Julie. Thank you for being part of this this journey that we've been on. We've learned a whole new lexicon, haven't we, over COVID, the Corona coaster. I think we've been on quite a lot of this. But thank you for joining us today. Can I ask why was this important for you to get involved with the Northern Power Women Report and the Power Circles?
Okay. Good morning. Well, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for joining us. Can I just check that our colleagues on Zoom can hear, because I couldn't hear Andy, and it might well be because we were on a different Zoom link. So if I could just check that our colleagues on Zoom can hear us, then I mean, certainly we can hear you, Simone, so that maybe that's more important.
Loud and clear on the chat I'm getting. You and
Great.
Julie, because you and Andy are so, you are our VIPs, you had your own private red carpet Zoom entry.
Really?
So we kept you in your own green room. Oh, yellow, is it
right.
maybe?
Well, I mean, hello to everybody. Why are these asks important of us? Well, first off, I'm a woman, and you want to succeed, and each of us want to get to whatever our level is that we want to achieve. And in the boardroom and around other tables, we are there. If you look at the government targets, so there's the Hampton Alexander Review for November 19 says that actually in the FTSE organisations, we have reached that 33%. But actually, in reality, have we? Because a lot of those women are on 1 or 2 or 3 boards. And, in the ethnic minority group, we have gone back in the last year. We have less people there. And, Trevor Phillips, who's well known as a diversity expert, says that the glass ceiling is cracked, but it's not broken. But actually, to see that the ethnic diversity has gone backwards in 2019 is not good. There are only 10 Black, Asian and minority ethnic people working in leadership roles in the FTSE 100. That's a shocking statistic. And when we are around that table, we bring a different perspective, we bring a different way of thinking, and we bring different knowledge, and that needs to be recognised. So I'm really keen that women that want to go on these boards really do put themselves forward to get there, but also that we challenge those recruiters to put away any unconscious bias that they might have and to actually get us there. But in the meantime, they also need to understand that this new world, we need some flexibility around childcare. You know, women have gone back to work and then their children have been isolated from school. They need to be able to cope with that, but still work, and women do and can. And then we need to invest in the future talent. Those women that have lost their jobs, that need reinvestment, and the government's made some announcements this week, young talent. We all have the power to actually develop young people. And one of the things that I did as chair of Wentworth Woodhouse 2 years ago is to have an apprentice trustee who was 19. We didn't give her the whole responsibilities of a legal directorship at that time, but we put her on a 2-year training course as a trainee so that we got the young voice into our board, and she was able to take the voice back to the young people in the region. And next year she will be appointed as a full-blown trustee. Wow. We have all got it in our power to make a difference, and you know, we are going to see more disruptions, so anticipate the disruptions. Don't just rebuild, reimagine. We've all got that ability. Build adaptability into our DNA and unlearn the bad things of the past and reimagine the new things of the future. We've got to do both things, and we need to change, all of us, including the women. We do. So that's why I'm, you know, really passionate about what it is that you do and you try and do, and you know, and I'm right behind you.
Thank you, Julie. So how do we keep this momentum going? Because I think what you've laid out there and what we've put in our asks is it's not just a case of, right, you've got to do this and tick a box. There are different sort of ways to do it. I love the whole concept of having the apprentice trustee. I think that is so fantastic, because it's almost it's that reverse mentorship as well, isn't it? I think, which is really key. So we've got a tough winter ahead, Julie. So what's the top tip really that we can be kind of keeping this momentum going over the winter and getting everyone to do something?
Well, I think the power's in our hands. As I've said, you know, we need to talk. If you're lucky enough to be an owner of a business or somebody that's in a position where you can influence and change things, then look at how you can work differently. Look at how you can bring flexibility and adaptability into your work life. Look at the issues that some men and women have that you know, around their own organisations and what's happening at home. It is going to be disruptive this winter. You know, we're all worrying about what's going to happen at Christmas. Let us bring in to reimagine how we can work differently. And I think that we've got that power within us. Do whatever we can, influence wherever we can, come together and help each other and come up with ideas that we can actually scale up or scale down in different areas.
And one of the questions that was thrown into the chat was for Andy, actually, but it says that policy needs to be combined with investment in women-focused support. What's your take on that, Julie?
Well, I think that there are some opportunities, certainly within the metro districts, to actually have some additional support. But you know, that there's lots of opportunities for training and retraining. And actually, maybe we should use some of that as an individual and see if you can get some access to some of that funding to do so. But yes, we should, you know, there are some policy changes. I think Andy's bringing some in, government is. We've just got to access them.
and I've got a note here, Anne Kearns, fantastic Anne Kearns, championed a report last week, but they've got an apprentice scheme running ready to roll out of the 30% Club, which is, again, one of those campaigns that has been so successful over the years, hasn't it? And I think they were definitely an organisation when they set the 30%, Dame Helena Morrissey, and having that ambition of 30% of women on boards and getting the chairman involved. I think what we're trying to do is say that everybody has got a part to play. As we rebuild, as we go forward better, everyone can do something for someone else. Even if you're not the top of the tree, you can all pay it forward. I think it's about now. We all have to be generous with our time. We all have to be committed and intentional about what we do, and because that will ultimately help us make a difference, Julie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's not just those at the top of the tree. They can do it quicker. But you can influence within your organisations. You can talk up and you can talk down. And when we all work together and collaborate, we're a much more powerful tool than when you're acting together. So I do think that there are loads of suggestions and different examples in the report. There are loads more out there. Let's continue to pull these together. Let's continue to meet through the winter, support each other to get through this uneasy time that's coming down the line, and just work together and make that difference.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you as ever for your unwavering support, and we'll see you again over the autumn. Thank you. And thank all of you. Thank you for the conversations coming in as well, to the chat as well. I think, for me, really grateful for Andy and for Julie for joining us today. Again, can't say thank you enough to every one of the Power Circle that turned up to the meetings. Month in, month out, we did 4 rounds of them, and I think some of the positivity that came out of it was fantastic. The report is out now. You can go to northernpowerwomen.com and you will find a link to that on the website. Here's a nice little shiny version of it for you. But please, what's our ask? We want you to share the stories. The report is full of stories. We know we have got there's some real barriers and challenges, but what we're trying to do is also demonstrate what can be done. So please share the positive stories to inspire and to disrupt. We need you as advocates and allies. So whether it is on those boards, whether it's policy making, we need that advocacy. And also at an individual level as well, we need all of that information. So we will be measuring what we are doing over this period, and we'll continue to measure. We will meet again. We're creating an investment circle that will take place in the late autumn to look at that investment in female and Black, Asian, minority, ethnic organisations as well, because it is all about boosting back our economy as well. But please go onto the website, get involved. There's a link there. So if you want any further information or you would like to have further conversations with us, then please do. But thank all of you for joining us today, taking your lunch break out. Thank you to the Northern Power Women team. Thank you to the MSP Studio here for housing us today. And please keep the conversation going. #WeAreNPW. Thank you so much.